right at the top of the hour. I'm so excited to see everybody on. This is the beginning of the Bridge Club becoming feline crazy. So this is the kickoff. Brenda will talk here. I'm going to tee it up over to Brenda here in a little bit to talk a little bit about what else we have coming up. But we have one of the most exciting things happening, and we are very, very fortunate. Royal Canin came on just to brag for a minute here. So for those of you who don't know, how many of you this is your first Bridge Club? Raise your hand. Awesome.
Yeah, guys, welcome.
Welcome. So Brenda and I created this. Brenda, raise your hand. There she is. Brenda and I created this, and we are actually, I think, at 19 months now where it's live. And the whole purpose is to connect.
Like a baby, we have to go by months. How many months old is our baby?
How many months old is it? Yeah. To connect, engage, learn, and grow, be able to have really important conversations and see people's faces. It makes me so happy. All these faces on the screen here. This is phenomenal. Royal Canin came in before this was real, and they gave us seed money. And I have to say, so we are big Royal Canin fans. And they ended up bringing us Dr. Marks, which I'm so excited because, you know, sometimes people come to us, we haven't met them, and then we get to meet them. And it's like, oh my God, the coolest thing ever. Had the best conversation with Natalie on the call. And so Natalie's going to walk us through some amazing content, because how many of you think we need more cats in practice? That's what I'm talking about.
I'm seeing people without their cameras on are raising their hands too.
Yeah, so that's okay. Put it in the chat room as you're going through it. So and so we're going to talk through some great tactics to be able to use. And obviously we are going to bring up some ones that you probably heard before, but that's okay. That's why the importance of like reiterating them, right? This is an unmute zone. So if you do not have background noise, please feel free to unmute yourself and jump into the conversation. We're going to give you plenty of time to be able to do that as we go through this. And we keep you at 25 minutes, and then we have an after party where we can finish out whatever's in our glass. So I'm pretty heavy pour here, so we should have a good time tonight.
I'll be here till midnight.
And is your tequila there yet? Okay. Oh, and the pretty glass.
I got a fun glass actually. It has like a, I don't know, some kind of antique coin thing on the front. That's cool.
So I am going to let Dr. Marks give a little background on herself, but what I do think is really cool about Dr. Marks is the fact that she has worked in 2 different states. I think that's really important because she understands different rules that have happened in different states. She does have a true passion for cats and a real passion for driving them into practice. She is certified, and also, you're on the board, right? Are you on the board for the Fear Free? So she's going to be able to talk a lot about Fear Free, but she's going to give us all some really important things to be thinking about. Hey, I just saw that Sarah's on here too. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Hillary. I love it. Christy. Awesome. Good to see you all. So with that, guys, before you raise your glass, because we all know that's how we start the evening, I'm going to turn it over to Natalie to give a little bit of background on herself. And then what we can do is start with the toast. So Natalie, raise your hand so everyone knows who you are.
Hi, everyone. All right. Well, thank you so much to Bridge Club for having me on tonight. And thank you to Royal Canin for their sponsorship and their passion behind this project. I see a lot of friendly faces that I know, so it's great to be with old friends and meet new ones. And we all are obviously here for the same reason, so that's great. Little bit about myself. I've been a practicing veterinarian for, this is my 19th year. Practiced in Atlanta for 5, been in Chicago since. I was an associate at Blum, owned for 8 years with a business partner, and now I'm doing more consulting work and educating. My big passion is teaching. So I do a lot of projects with lots of different industry partners, educating on different diseases and speaking and doing different projects that hopefully have a creative way of educating professionals and also consumers. And so one of my big passions is Fear Free, and also how cats are not small dogs, and getting people to hopefully get on that bandwagon that we need to change how we approach working with our feline patients and also working with our feline clients. So that's a little bit about me. I'm also a working mom, and I have 3 great kids who just started school. Thank God.
I don't know. Is that
Or-
our toast? Are we toasting to kids in school?
Oh.
I'm sorry. I didn't know if we were doing that. Exactly. Cheers.
No, they're in school. They're in school. 4th grade, 2nd grade, 1st grade. So they're back in. So it's great to have everybody here. I thought I would do I have a claw drink tonight.
Oh,
so I
that's
thought
cute.
Cute.
but I also have my bottle, so I'm ready, whatever we decide to do. But a toast if it's time.
Yes. Everyone raise your glass.
Everyone raise a glass. So I think the reason we're all here tonight and the reason Royal Canin's for this project is because there's been a huge push to understand the experience that our cat clients have when they come to veterinary practices. And a lot of the feedback we got is they feel like second-class citizens. They feel it's designed only for a dog. They don't feel that cat-specific education is being given, cat-specific handling, that we aren't educated the same in dogs and cats, and they don't have the same experience. So a very famous quote by Sigmund Freud is, "Time spent with cats is never wasted." And so I'd like to kick off tonight by hoping that tonight you feel the same, that what we talk about and discuss is absolutely not a waste of time, that we have a new way of opening our eyes to your practice, to your writing, to your consulting, to your shelter work, whatever you're doing, and that we hope that our clients understand that our time with them is not wasted and we're turning over a new leaf. So to cats everywhere and better experiences, cheers.
Cheers. That's awesome. I didn't know that about Sigmund Freud. I totally am stealing that quote.
Yes. He wasn't actually a cat lover, but he was very much had a huge respect for the feline.
Interesting.
Yes.
Guess what I'm using to promote Cat Week?
There you go. It's a great quote, right?
I was just thinking it's too bad he's dead because we could have him as a celebrity host, but
That'd be
Oh.
awesome.
That would be creative.
I know.
Okay.
Okay, so let's jump in with a tip. So we're going to give like 3 main tips, right? So tip number 1.
So tip number 1 is, especially if you are a veterinary professional, which I think most of us on this call are doing some kind of practice work, whether it's in small animal practice, feline specific, or shelter work. Tip number 1 is your connection with your client has to start with educating about how they keep a feline friendly home. So it can't just be contained to your discussion in the hospital. It needs to always start at home. That involves feline enrichment for indoor cats. That involves, from a fear-free perspective, starting the exam at home. That involves understanding, our cat clients understanding that the carrier is part of their furniture. It's not grabbed 5 minutes before. It's understanding about nutrition. It's understanding how to introduce new cats into a household, how to have a multi-cat household be enriched, how to encourage the activation of prey drive, all of the things that we somehow forget to talk about in exams. And that also not only makes our cats happier, but it lets our clients see that we have education about what cats need and what they want, not just the 10 minutes or 8 minutes or 20 minutes that we spend with them in the exam. So I am a huge believer in teaching clients in whatever way that is, whether it's social media post, whether it's website, whether it's direct interaction. We have a huge training system here of teaching all of the teams that interact with a client, whether it's your CSR team, your tech team, your assistant team, obviously your associate team, whether it's in a shelter situation, anyone that's doing client communication, but finding different touch points on teaching clients how to have a happy home with your cat. Yes, we have to teach them how to get to the veterinary practice. Yes, we have to teach them about low stress handling. Yes, we have to teach them about diabetes and everything else. But most importantly, we have to teach them that they can't adopt a cat and set up the house for the human. When they adopt a cat or take on a breeding cat or whatever they're doing, they have to think of the cat's needs and how that can be in their home something that they can both live with. We can't have 6 cats and 1 litter box shoved into a laundry room because we don't want the smell or the sight in our house. And unfortunately, that's not really communicated well, whether it's a first kitten appointment or an adoption at a shelter across the board. And I think getting clients to understand all the things that cats need. Cats need perches, cats need scratch post, 1 litter box plus 1, all of the cardinal rules that we teach about enrichment. There's so many resources if you don't want to reinvent the wheel. The Ohio State University has a phenomenal feline enrichment website that you can direct people to, or link to your own website, that gives all of these tips in a very easily laid out and very creative way that helps clients set up their home to be feline friendly. Fear Free does very similar things. And so being able to touch clients and get them to understand how a cat feels good at home also then translates to them being able to tell us when their cat's not feeling good. So if they have great cat towers in their house and cats love to be up there and they're feeding cats up high and they're using Dr. Bale's feeding system and they have feel away diffusers in their house and great calming music and the cat carrier is out as a coffee table and they're doing everything right. And all of a sudden for 3 days, their cat's not going to the cat tower. That's a helpful cue to a client to be like, something's off, right? My cat loves being up there. He loves to eat. Now he's not going up there. Is he in pain? Is he ill? Is he not grooming well? These are helpful cues to also get our clients to understand that they can be an active part of the process of medical care for their cats.
So I would interject here is before we go and move on with the other tips is from the community, I'd really, and I did have to mute you, Penny, just because I heard the clicking, but I am curious from the community, is there other tactics you've done to be able to help educate the pet owner before they get into the practice? Because this is where we all need to learn, right? This is where it's getting to they're in the practice, you're too late almost, right? We want to get them beforehand. So can anyone jump in? Feel free to unmute yourself and jump in if anyone's got any ideas on what we could share and what we can be driving more cats into practice. Or are we all here because none of us know?
I have a question. I'm not really answering your question, but I have a question that maybe Natalie could answer. Oh, kind of along those lines. Hi, Natalie. You look so pretty.
How much have you had to drink?
This is my second glass of wine. Anyway, so I feel like a lot of pet owners, people who want to get a pet, assume I'm going to get a cat because it's lower maintenance. If I go out of town, I don't have to get, I don't have to take board. I can just have someone come by and feed the cat. It's easier. So how do you educate? I mean, I guess this is the same question that Catherine asked, but I just feel like, how do you get past that stigma of these, like, cats are not lower maintenance than dogs. It seems like they're higher maintenance in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and that's where, so as a private practitioner or previous practice owner, right, I had a certain reach of the clients that would either look at my website or active clients, right? But that's where groups like this cat coalition that I don't think Andrea's on, but that's being started, that has a lot of awesome people on it. I see a cat there with Jane. That's where we have to do more of a wider reach consumer. So I was part of Royal Canin's Take Your Cat to the Vet campaign this year, which had a consumer outreach component to it. Mm-hmm. They're planning on making this bigger and better over the years to get people to understand that exact thing. So we did a lot of myth busting at CatCon, which if you guys have never been to CatCon, you have to go. It's amazing. Just a cat convention, and it's everything cat for 3 days. It was wonderful. It was really awesome in Pasadena, but we basically myth busted. So, the myth of my cat's fine because he's an indoor cat. No, your cat is an indoor cat. That doesn't, you live indoors, right? That means that you don't have to go to the doctor ever, like kind of things like, we don't know where these myths came from, but unfortunately they very much exist, right? My cat will cry out if he's in pain. We know that absolutely is not true. And in fact, the signs of pain in cats are completely different from the signs of pain in dogs. We know that cats are very stoic and hide signs, right? So when I see cats and they're ill, they're typically very ill. So we have to, together as a community, come up with a way to have a better consumer outreach, whether it's talking to all the shelter groups so that we're giving them better resources for education of people who are coming to adopt, right? Whether it's getting some of the industry partners together to do more consumer outreach about these cat needs, right? This is a dog's life. This is a cat's life. They aren't the same at
So
all.
I'm hoping, I'll be honest, I hope in our after party, we really brainstorm this, because I have to be honest with you, the fact that people aren't jumping in and saying, this is what we're doing in our practice to be able to educate more. So let's table that so we don't miss your other 2 major tips as we're going forward. But let's be sure, like, think about it. What are you doing in practice right now? Brian, you too. I'm just saying, because I see you standing right there. Is it, or sitting right there. Like, what are we doing to really drive cats in? Like, what are we trying to do? So let's move on to tip number 2.
Okay, so tip number 2 for me would be our cat clients are also not our dog clients typically. And cat clients have a different need. And they also, a lot of them feel very, I don't want to say disrespected, but not treated with the same priority that many of us treat our dog clients. And I hate that that's the reality, but many studies have shown that in secret shopper experiences, in surveys, in many different forms, that is the overwhelming theme. That their experience in the practice, their experience with veterinarians is completely different and unfortunately not up to par. So I'll tell you one story that kind of got that across to me, and it's quite, I would say it's a bit dramatic, but everybody who knows me knows I have a little drama to me. But hopefully we'll get the point across. When I first started in practice, I was out maybe 6 months, and I was at a practice, and I was the rookie there, and I got paired, for obviously privacy purposes, I got paired with Mrs. Jones for an appointment with Fluffy. And I go in and I start talking to her, and she had seen another doctor at the practice, and the cat was diabetic. So I was sent to go in and do a diabetes consult with her. So I walk in and I start talking to Mrs. Jones, and I start saying, Mrs. Jones, I'm sorry to tell you, but Fluffy has diabetes. She goes, oh, hold on. And she starts meowing to her cat in the room. And I kind of was taken aback, and I went, did I hear that right? And she goes, I just like Fluffy to understand what you're saying. So I'm like, okay. So I said, just hold on one second. And I walk out of the room, and everyone in the practice is snickering, right? They're like, oh, got you, right? We pulled a fast one on Dr. Marks. And so I'm a little competitive too. So I said, well, if that's what's going to happen, I'm going to walk right back in there and explain diabetes in cat language to this woman and her cat. So I walked in, I said, okay, I didn't realize that you wanted Fluffy to understand. So I told Miss Jones, here's about her insulin, blah, blah, blah. And I said, let me tell Fluffy. So I went, meow, 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 meow. And I started doing an insulin, meow, 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 meow. And I start talking all this. And I'm thinking to myself, to me, obviously that seems a little absurd. Mrs. Jones sat there and said, I just needed somebody to talk to my cat, right? And she became one of my best clients, referred client after client who were the most compliant and wonderful people. She just needed someone to listen to her and say, this is my life. I live with my 11 cats. I like to tell my cats what's going on. And I want someone to accept that and tell me in the exam room and tell my cat, right? It took me 2 minutes. Yeah, when I look back, I'm like, that was a little funky, probably. But I think it's a really good representation on our clients have different needs. And some of our cat clients may not need you to talk to their cat, but they need you to talk to them differently than we talk to our dog clients. They have different demands. They have different wants. They see their cats in a very different light than our golden retriever clients do. And if we're not listening to them and hearing what they have to say and answering their questions and feeling their needs out, we're not doing a service to them. And that's what we're there for. We're there to be a medical advocate for their cat in the exam room, translate what we're seeing to our client, but also to become a partner to the client. And again, I think all of us have dealt with clients that perhaps have unreasonable needs or needs that can't be ever met, right? But most of our clients have needs that if we listen to them, we can find a way to meet in the middle, compromise, and develop trust in a partnership. That's what our cat clients need. Because once we develop a trust, which is what I always try to find with my clients, we sit across from our exam table, we sit down like it's coffee, and we have a conversation, and I tell them, I can only do so much for your cat. I need you at home to be eyes and ears and telling me what's happening, what's changing. Have they stopped grooming? Are they hiding? You know your cat so much better than I do, but I need to hear from you, because if you're telling me your cat eats 36 kibbles a day and all of a sudden for the last 3 days it's eating 28 kibbles, I'm going to listen to you, because you know. We're not going to blow that off and joke about that. We're going to listen and be like, you know what, this mom totally gets what she's saying. And I need to take that as something factual and move forward with it, because they know. But I think the whole example of having to talk cat, not everybody's going to talk cat, you know, and she was like, I didn't know there was anyone who talked cat. Well, I don't really talk cat, but I talk Mrs. Jones. I knew she needed to hear that, right? She just wanted someone to humor her for a second and say, yeah, I'm acknowledging this is what you need. And
So
so
what
I
think is, oh, so sorry.
no, go ahead.
So cool about all that, because you indicate it's that client relationship, but you said when you and I were talking previously, you talked about that the practice itself might trigger to a pet owner, this is not a practice for you. Because if you walk in, and so walk through a little bit of that before we jump to number 3, because I think that's really important.
Yeah, so I think when a feline client, and we did, you know, again, Royal Canin did this huge secret shopper survey, which I was part of coordinating, and they looked at 29 different variables of a cat client's experience, from the time they call for an appointment at home to website viewing, to the time they enter the lobby, their exam experience, any diagnostics, checkout, and follow-up. And looking at all the variables there, a lot of what was falling very subpar on these client experiences was the client's feeling of respect, that they knew that they were dealing with a cat and not just, again, a small dog, that their needs were being heard and met, and that they had their questions answered. Now, I think some of those probably overlap in general to client experiences, but what we try to do is make sure that every part of our hospital that touches a client has cat-specific information, right? So our website has been developed to have cat-specific information. Sarah does a lot of she helps us with our social media a lot. So we have a lot of, and this is a huge, huge thing for people who have social media pages. When I go around and consult, most practices are 90%, I feel like, dog heavy. Dog pictures, dog posts, cute dog engagement picture, and then the random, you know, form stock photo of a cat and, you know, happy Black Cat Day, and that's it. You need to make sure you are balanced if you are a general small practice, or if you're feline, obviously you're doing it, but most social media posts are not catered towards cats. There's so many more that we could do. But our website does that. When people call and talk to our CSR team, we talk about leaving the cat carrier out. We give out feel-away wipes for owners to keep in their cat carriers. We talk about travel, using gabapentin as what we call a pre-visit pharmaceutical. So having something on board so their cats relax. Talking about music, we've created a Spotify list so clients can download it and play appropriate music. Talking about multi-cat transfer, having website pages that we email. Once they schedule an appointment, we email them links to our website that talk about how to get your cat in a carrier from the AAFP handout, all about transport and fear-free. When they come in the lobby, there's a cat-specific section. Their cat carrier is elevated. They get a pheromone-impregnated towel they put over their cat carrier. We try to get them in as soon as possible into a specific exam room. Again, pheromone diffusers everywhere. Our staff is sprayed feel-away on top. Every 4 hours, we do 8 sprays, everybody in the hospital. Low stress.
I am curious. Is everyone
Sorry,
else? I know it gets very exciting. We just like right into that.
Sorry, I get a little passionate.
No, and I love it.
Rather than writing, and I'm like, shoot, you have the recording.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I am curious from the community, because we will end up quickly transitioning to our after party, because we are very careful about that. What else are people doing to encourage, you know, when we talk about once the cat is in your practice, what have you done to make the practice more cat friendly, that you've gone above and beyond what has been, you know, deemed as what you should be doing? I am curious, is there anything to share there from the community? Oh, okay, go Penny.
We have some pre-visit kits that have a feel-away wipe and composure treat in it for those cats that do get a little nervous on the trip. And I'm kind of the cat person in our clinic. So when people come in, and I'm the CSR manager, but when people come in with cats, I'll go over and I'll sit down with them. I'll talk to them about their cat, talk about my love that they're all so unique, and your cat is so beautiful, and what's the quirky thing about your cat that you love, just so they get the idea, because we all run up to puppies, but nobody runs up to the cat carrier and says, oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. Aren't cats so unique and wonderful in their quirky, interesting personalities? And I think that kind of sets the pace for them to understand that we get that you love your cat and know that it's unique and interesting.
I love that. I think it's really important because I can tell you, I have been at more WVCs and NAVCs where our fellow colleagues in the profession want to show me a picture of their cat, and they want to find out, are you one of us or are you not? Like, how are you going to react to the photo? So I think that that's amazing. Any other things that people have done before we start to quickly, oh, here we go. There we go, Brian.
Just two things. One, we actually do house calls for cats that don't want to come in the clinic, which I think has been key for some of those. Just, it doesn't matter what you do, the cat doesn't want to be there. And then two, within the room, we do the multi-levels, right? So not every cat wants to be at face level. So we've got the tree. It's kind of changed our way of looking at things from a hygiene thing. I was like, oh no, not carpeting, but we clean it every day, and the cats love it. They love it. Cat toys, cat specific treats. They're not little dogs. They don't want kibble. And that has made a huge difference in our, we get the cat people in the door, but it's keeping them coming back. And that's where we've seen a real improvement.
Mm-hmm. We do also have a lot of cat toys, like wand toys and things like that in the rooms for the clients to interact with their cat while they're, waiting for the doctor or waiting for lab work to come back or something like that. So people appreciate that too, that now they have a way to interact with their cat and try to relieve some FAS at the same time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Any last final additions? And we're going to, Laura, we got to unmute you. There we go. Make sure your partner's muted. There we go. Wait, I keep trying to unmute you.
Catherine, let her herself there.
What?
I said, wait, okay.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah.
So we don't have an exam table in any of our rooms. We're totally fear-free. But in our cat room, we have this really cool wave sort of shelf on the wall at 2 levels, and so it's balanced. It's on the wall. It's about 4 feet long, and it's got like a cat scratching post mat on it. And then we've got a cat tree in the corner, which has deep, like a deep shelf in each. Deep walls in each of the segments, but there's not like a box where they can hide in it, but they feel like they can hunker down in there. And so that's where I examine the cats, and the owners love it.
That's so cool. That sounds wonderful.
Then of course,
that is awesome.
Vanilla, Feel Away, and lavender in the lobby, and cat music as well.
That is awesome. So we have officially now entered into our after-hour party. So for those of you who need to leave, and for many of you, you'll understand, oh yeah, that's awesome, send the photos, that's awesome. For those of you who've been around, that really means this becomes a free-for-all, but we still have one more big topic for Natalie to cover. So we're gonna go through that, and then we'll go into the kind of the free-for-all, but we always promise to let you know if you need to exit out, you certainly can. But let's dive into tip. I love how, I feel like I should have like my big numbers up. 3.
Number 3. So Penny sort of segued into this a little bit for me, because it sounds like you are the cat champion at your practice. And I think that's incredibly important, to have someone or some team that is engaged enough and to really embrace developing that part of your practice. So for us, we actually have a committee. We have a pretty large hospital, so we have several people that want to be cat champions. It's sort of a little crossover into fear-free, because many of the fear-free tenants that we used here, and we have a fear-free certified hospital, many of those translate into how to make the cat experience better. But our cat champions, and if you're, I think Megan's on the call from Royal Canin. So Royal Canin has an advocat program, which is really awesome for consumers. They could sign up for that and be an advocate. And Megan maybe can talk to that a little bit more when we have time. But it's basically letting your team know that we, again, just like Penny, we need to embrace and kind of try to tear away the stigma of the crazy cat people, right? I don't know how that came about, but I think it really, we need to get away from it, even though I think a lot of our profession, there are probably times where it's joked about. We need to embrace the American love of cats, and having cat champions that can do that and support and acknowledge our cat clients that come in that really, really love their cat family, really bonds, creates trust, allows us to do better medicine, better care, create better longevity, quality of life. Those cat clients then refer their great friends who are great cat clients. And again, I think this is a kind of momentum that can hopefully start changing things. So I think it's really important for everyone on this call, if you're involved in a group, community, a practice, a shelter, whatever board, getting somebody to embrace that and to take on the commitment of being a cat champion, you know, initiating new fear-free, remodeling an exam room, making sure you have pheromones all over the hospital, getting it. We have a treat menu for cats. So our cat clients come in and we show them, here's what we have for treats, and they get to pick, right? So some people are like, oh, I think Fluffy will have a tuna cup today and a baby food popsicle, maybe a little catnip for dessert. They love that, right? So giving them the option, getting the client involved and showing them that this is cat specific. But your cat champions can be the ones that lead the charge, get the momentum going within your group, and then again, the clients will start to see that. So I think that's imperative to keep the momentum going, but also to make sure that we are addressing the details, because that's where the difference is made.
So let's dive into the fear-free piece though, because that seems to be, you know, we've got cat-friendly clinics, we've got the fear-free, and on the like, you know, as we look at the tips, you know, where does that stand of the value that we're providing?
Well, we are cat-friendly certified as well as fear-free certified, and there are great benefits to both. I think as long as you're picking one to embrace, whatever seems to fit best within your practice and your team and your goals. The big thing is I think there has to absolutely be a difference in how we handle cats in the hospital. Scruffing should never be done again. I wish we could get t-shirts made that just have a big scruff with a big line through it, right? Like there should never be scruffing ever done with cats again. There are so many techniques, no matter what low stress handling you listen to or what training you've gone through, so many ways we can do exams without a table, blood pressures in the room, diagnostics in a very comfortable way, utilizing what we know and adapting it to the cat's body language and behavior. And that has to be, I think, a foundation component of everything that we do. Again, I think education and marketing, letting our clients know we are cat focused, making it an imperative part of your social media planning, making your website have cat specific pages, and getting training within your hospital so every person on your team that touches a client has cat specific information. And then I think also, to me, pheromones have been a huge component. Getting clients to understand that we're using in-hospital pheromones, they can do the same at home. It's a great way for them to feel, again, active in this role, and getting them to understand also how to enrich the home to make it a happy home for the cats that are living there.
I think that's awesome. As we're in this stage, this is now kind of a free-for-all, everyone. You can now be jumping in with additional questions for Dr. Marks. So please feel free.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I already asked one, so someone else.
So my question is actually, so I love when you have the people who love their cats, right? And you get to talk to them about all these great things. I think where I struggle is the people who bring their cat in once every 10 years. And you're trying to get to them why it's important that they need to come in more frequently. And the issue is then when they come in, obviously you want to do all this stuff. Like you're like, we need to do all of these diagnostics. And they say, well, the reason I don't come in is because every time I come in, you find something. And then it's this struggle of, well, you only come in when your cat's really sick. And so, yes, I'm going to end up spending a lot of your money because I'm really worried because you don't bring your cat in routinely. And so, like, how do I connect with the people who aren't on the cat level I am and get them to like be on that cat level?
Yeah, and I think that's such a great question because we do see that quite a bit, right? Or the owner of the cat is not the one who brings the cat in, or the lover of the cat is not there, and the person who brought in is, I had the to-do list today and it's to get my cat a rabies vaccine, right? So the way I handle those is I sit down across the table from them, and I like to have a very person-to-person conversation, and I say, you know, we haven't seen each other in 10 years. I want to know your goal. What is your goal for your cat? Why are you here, right? Is it, if they honestly say, it's because my wife told me to bring in the cat, and I'm, you know, if they're not engaged at all, you can only do so much. But there are plenty of people that are going to say, well, I want my cat to live forever, or I want my cat to be more playful, or I want my cat to stop peeing out of the box, right? We get that so much. It gives you a door that's open to start the conversation of how you can partner together to help resolve that problem, right? It's very hard to get a person to do all the diagnostics we want them to do if they don't trust you. And a person that answers that, you know, well, you only want to take my money, or you only want to do fine stuff, they don't trust you. So we can't start and miss those 3 steps, because they're going to tune out. And if you're watching their body language, they probably cross their arms, lean back, look at their watch, check their phone. They're done. They're checked out. So I try to build a partnership first. And it may take a couple visits before I actually get them on board enough to do diagnostics. But what I tell them is I am your advocate here, and I want to create a partnership. I want to know what your goals are for your cat. I want to know other things that they're willing to share. And I say, I want you to be transparent with me because I'm going to be transparent with you. We may not agree, but we can agree to disagree on certain things. But I want the best for your cat, and you're here, so let me do the best while we're together, right? And usually I can get a sense on if they're going to be open to talking about it.
I think that is
we can't win over.
Trying to help us out so we can let other
I'm
folks
sorry.
in too. No, I think it's amazing. I think that is absolutely phenomenal advice. And I think even Penny put in there, the open-ended questions are incredible. So actually, Sarah, I'm going to let you jump in with your question, but then there was another question from Penny. I want to be sure we get everyone's questions in. So go ahead, Sarah, and then we're going to ask about resources.
Sure. So Natalie, you talked about the importance of educating clients on creating a happy home for their cat. I'm curious how Blum has done that. So is it limited to the veterinarian and or the technician in the exam room educating, or are you doing it via social media, blog posts? Are you creating printed materials to give to clients? How are you doing that?
So all of the above. So we have so remember, a person has to hear, see, read, or whatever other sense something 7 times for it to stick, right? So if you have the person who hasn't been here for 10 years and they're already tuned out and looking at their parking meter, and you start trying to just tell them something about the number of litter boxes they need, we'll never get through, right? So I think, again, it starts with your website, making sure that you have a lot of resource pages on there, whether it's your own created content, which we have a lot of, we blog every week, whether it's links. So we have links to, AAFP, fear-free, cat-friendly, everything that we can think of that gives them resources to do their own research. And then also targeted things, how to get your cat in a carrier, transport, Spotify lists, all those kind of support items. When people call or schedule online an appointment, they automatically get through our reminder system. So LIDVM rocks if you're not using them. You can create customized emails that are sent out depending on the generated appointment that give the client additional reading and resources.
And what's that
reminders
again?
on how to get their cat.
Just what was that again?
LIDVM is a reminder system that integrates with your practice management software, and they allow customizable email templates that we can say, if we have a senior cat, this is what we want going to the client once they schedule an appointment. If we want an ill cat, if it's a urinary out of the box cat, different things that generate, please remember to bring a fecal sample. Don't forget your gabapentin ahead of time if it's a triggered cat that needs a PVP ahead of time. We also have printed out handouts to give to clients. We talk about it with the assistant, bringing them in the room and getting history. The veterinarian talks about it in the exam room, so that's number 5. We also do a referral or a reminder at checkout and give them any other additional resources or send out website information on their emailed invoice. And then we have social media reminders. So we try, and this is what I would encourage everyone to do, find multiple touch points that your clients can have access to where you say the same thing in a different way. Some people hear it best, some people read it best, some people want it in writing, some people want it on their phone, some people want to click a link, some people want to review it in the comfort of their home, some people want everything. You can't please everyone doing the same thing. You don't think your website alone is going to reach everyone. You've got to have multiple ways. So that's what we've tried to do, and we're not perfect. We're still working on it. It's like a Google sheet. It's an active process every day of trying to find ways to reach clients. But so far, it really seems to be working. And if you're doing something well, like if you have this amazing exam room that cats can do all this cool stuff in, market the hell out of it. You know, social media post that. Look what your cat can experience at this practice. Make sure clients can see that, because once it starts getting shared and becomes viral, the engagement alone, our social media and website development, our new client numbers this year are astronomical, and almost all of it can be triggered back to fear-free and the engagement of how our hospital is different from everybody else. Now, it's not all cats, of course. I mean, we have dog appointments too, but when we show on Fear-Free Friday how we can do a blood draw on a kitten while the kitten eats tuna and is happy, and everybody's like, whoa, what's going on there? They're barely touching this cat and we're getting a blood draw. When we can video that and be like, don't you want your kitten to have this? You know, we can get 200, 300 likes, and it gets shared, and people are commenting and putting their friends' names down so that their friend can see, yeah, you should be coming here, not over there. So doing that repeatedly and getting your clients to become engaged, then again, it's all about trust. They start trusting you, you can give them more information, and it starts building, and they become your partner, not just somebody paying a bill.
That's so smart. I texted you guys to send us pictures. Send them our way. I already got one from Clara. Thank you very much. So Catherine and I will post those on our Bridge Club Facebook page too. Absolutely. And we'll make sure to tag you guys as hospitals. So it's a great way to just be like, hey guys, hey friends, fellow veterinarians, here's what we're doing that's working.
And by the way, we're doing good. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We're working it. But I would say, make sure also in this chat, if you've got a resource, all the things that Natalie is talking about, I think are really critical. And yes, we are competitive against each other when we're in our little markets, but the great thing about the Bridge Club is we're global. And so we have people all over the place that are needing resources. So let's share them. So if you've got because that was actually, Penny's question was, are there any great webinars or videos out there? So post them in the chat. If you've not used the chat before, it's it's at the bottom, and then it'll go on to your right. Put them in here. We'll share them with this group as we push them out. It's really critically important. The only way we're all going to be able to get more cats in is if we're sharing it as we're going forward.
And help each other.
So I'm going to give Dr. Marks a break here and see, Brian, you gave your one piece, but as you look at your Fear-Free and the work that you're doing, is there any other things that you're encouraging people to do to drive more cats into practice? And then I'm going to go ahead and indicate, Jane, you're up next. So, you're in trouble.
I think just remembering that they're not dogs. The handling, the talking, the music, the way you greet them. I mean, you just got to remember that you're dealing with a feline, and felines have their own sensibilities, and you need to remember that. And that's we take on a lot of interns and externs and every which way. And one of the first things we say is, okay, this is a cat room. If you bring a dog in here, you're out. And, and we stand true by that. And this is the way we talk in the cat room. And this is one in, one out. This is not the gang all goes in. And just kind of, remembering that they're not little dogs, and treating the owners the same way. I think Natalie hit it all right on the head.
That's awesome. And I will say, Natalie, we do need your Spotify playlist that we can
be
also
happy to send. Yep,
So
I'll be happy to. And I think, Brian,
go ahead.
I was just going to say to Brian, I think the other thing that you kind of allude to there is body language training for everyone is so important. Being able to understand how a cat is communicating, being able to teach a client, this is what your cat is saying when it's doing this. It is imperative because that is how we approach them in the exam room. That's how we teach clients when they're not feeling well. That's how we prevent bites at home. That's how we know when cats are sick or in pain. It's so imperative to teach body language. Relaxed cat, mad cat. Relaxed cat, painful cat. It's so important because that's how I start my exam. If an owner comes in and says, my cat's miserable at the ears, I don't grab for the cat at the head and stick an otoscope in its ear the first thing. I go there last. If the cat's not jumping anymore, I don't start by checking the hips. I go there last. And I think that's something that cat clients appreciate, is that we do it differently and we tailor it to their cat. We don't do it the same for every single cat.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Okay, so Jane, I'm going to let you go. What advice do you have for all of us cat lovers?
Well, what an amazing group of people, and it's so wonderful to see the enlightenment of our profession. I've been in feline practice for over 30 years, and heck, when I started, I didn't know that there were cats that didn't like to be around other cats. So yeah, and that's true. And what we know now is about arousal, and like Dr. Mark said, about body language and understanding what's normal for that cat. I think sometimes we tend to lump cats and cat people together and say they're this, they're that, and they're all individuals. And that's what the owner appreciates, is being celebrated, the bond that they have, because that's an individual, very personal thing. So that one-on-one relationship with the cat owner, with every cat owner, whether you have to speak cat with them or whether you're talking at a level that this is the physiologic mechanism for pain and this is what we can do. A couple of things, I mean, you talked about how do we get cats to the practice compared to what do we do when they get there, and certainly differentiating ourselves with how we are different, how we take care of your feline family member is a very good way to start. The one thing that I always like to stress is think about the words we choose. For example, restraint, feline restraint, or there's a lecture on feline restraint, or here's a video on feline restraint. Well, if you think about the word restraint, that automatically sets you in a direction where if we step back and say, come help me handle this cat, and it's feline handling. And a great resource would be AAFP's handling guidelines, written by Dr. Alona Rodan. And if you ever have an opportunity to get a speaker on feline handling and understanding feline behavior, it would be Dr. Rodan. So just all those nuances about cats. So that's what you do once you get there and set yourself apart. What about getting more cats and how to market to cats, social media? A couple of times I heard people talk about the shelter relationships. And certainly at a community level, this morning I was at a meeting for our, as a wrap up of our Maryland statewide campaign called the Maryland 2000. And 21 shelters across the state participated. 27 cats and kittens were adopted during the month of July, and 31 veterinarians across the state this year participated. So this is an opportunity. This is a complete community-based, everybody wants things better for cats. So I'd encourage us to all get out of our little, it's just my practice, or, you know, talk to people in other venues about how cool cats are and how different they are, and celebrate them. So thank you, Dr. Marks, for that and what you've done for Take Your Cat to the Vet Day and that whole campaign and everybody involved with that.
So what I will say is, before we give a parting shot, because again, we do look at the time here, I do want Brenda, who unfortunately for her, I've been very excited about this topic and I've been jumping in. I want her to be able to jump in and talk about, we're not done with cats. We are gonna become very, very all about the cats. So talk about what we got coming up, Brenda.
Yeah, so we are very engaged. In fact, we are fortunate enough to be invited to be at the dinner in Pasadena, where we started talking about the potential coalition on cats, and we're really excited about that. And we are working with Dr. Brunt, with Jane, to put together, and it is put together, in fact, Feline Health Week, the week of September 23rd. So every single day that week, it'll be 7 o'clock Central Time in the evening, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Time on Friday. But every single day that week, we're going to have a conversation focused on how we're going to get more cats in the practice, focused on the emotional connection that cat owners have. We're going to do some fun things. On Friday, it's going to be our Feline Hacks Day. So would encourage everybody to sign up and come and bring your best feline hack, your best idea for making cats happy and making cat owners happy. And check it out on our website, and you can register to attend any of the sessions. But we've got a phenomenal group of speakers coming up, and it's going to be a lot of fun all week, every single one of them. I'm going to be as excited every single day, Catherine, as we are today.
Well, and the funny part is, so I will say on Friday at 2 o'clock, if you are home, we will ask you what's in your beverage. If you are at practice, we will not ask you what is in your cup.
You never have to say anymore.
You never have to say, but you know, we get a little nosy here at night. We always want to know what's happening. But I will say we really do have an amazing lineup that's going to come for that one. But this is just the beginning. I think this conversation about cats and what we can be doing is really critical. I learned a great deal in having my conversation with Dr. Marks, and you know, it makes me miss my Oscar. So I am really, really excited for us to continue this conversation. Now, any parting thoughts from any parting questions before we do our final toast with Dr. Marks to wrap it up? Dr. Marks is having a heart attack right now, really quick, going, wait, there was one more toast. It's parting thoughts. It's a parting thoughts. You're fine. Okay, Penny, what do you have?
The only thing I was going to mention is I had referenced earlier the Humane Society of the United States, the cat behavior and retention course. It's 18 credit hours, and it really focuses on talking open-ended questions and engaging people. It has to do with, you know, behavior problems mostly, but I think that it helps us, as Natalie was talking about, how to talk to people, how to pull them into the conversation. I am the cat person and always have been, and I'm learning a ton of things in that class, and most of it has to do with communication.
So before I turn this back over to Natalie, I do want to give a shout out to Sherry for being the only one who brought a cat to the party. I did see her cat come by. You know, if Diane had been here, we would have had her cat, but you know, we have to bring more cats to the party. We have to remember to do that.
Well, Catherine, mine's been here sitting on my desk. You just can't see.
Good, right.
I'm just saying, Sherry's walked by. I mean, yours is being a little shy today. I'm just saying. So with that, let's do a parting shot from Natalie, and let's do just everyone raise your glass for a parting shot to cats, and let's go, Natalie.
Okay, well, I've really enjoyed our time together tonight. There are, in the latest studies, over 36 million cats in the US, and less than half of them see any medical care annually. So here's hoping that this is the kickoff to lowering that number and helping cats. It has to be one at a time, it will be, and making our cat clients understand that we are advocates for them as we are for each other. So to bettering the cat world of America together, one cat at a time. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. That's awesome.
Meow, meow.